When Ben Gartner was 12, before World War II, he was one of the children who left Germany through the Kindertransport. He got to England and was taken to an orphanage. He spent most of his days crying, asking his caregivers when he'd see his parents again. One day, Ben's caregivers told him that King George would be passing through their village that day. It was literally the first time in weeks that Ben stopped crying. He had a secret plan. Ben and the other children were taken to the town square and were standing behind this barricade as they waited for the king to pass by. As the royal carriage came closer, Ben jumped the barricade and ran towards the king's carriage. As soon as the guards saw him, they grabbed him and carried him back to the barricade. The king asked his guards what was going on. When they told him about the boy who jumped the barricade, ran towards his carriage, he invited Ben to come closer. The king asked Ben, "Why'd you run towards my carriage? Is there something that you'd like to tell me?" Ben broke down crying and told the king how much he missed his parents, who were still back in Germany. He then wiped his tears and said, Please, your highness, bring my parents back here." King George said, "Young boy, we're at war with Germany. It would be impossible for me to do that." Ben said, "But you're the King of England. You could do anything. Please bring my parents to me." The king looked at the boy with compassion and said, "Please don't cry. I promise I'll do whatever I can to try to make it happen." Ben gave the king his parents' names and thanked him, unsure of what to expect. 1 month later, there was a knock at the door of the orphanage. Ben's parents had arrived. Somehow, they were brought out of Germany and were reunited with their son. You know, we often make the mistake in life in thinking that God sits on his throne way up high and that we're so distant from him. But in reality, every day of our lives, we have the opportunity to jump the barricade, to come closer to the king. We can pour out our heart to him whenever we want and ask him for anything. So today, let's take a moment to ask God to invest in us with a year of tremendous blessings and joy.